And that support piece is what you're talking about, is having, because if you're just in your own head, Paula, it's really difficult to have a vision, and sharing the vision expands it. Sharing the dream just keeps it alive.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Paycheck. I'm Paula Christine. So last week we talked about women and money and women in their working with themselves to, free up our limiting beliefs. So on this episode today, we're not just talking for women. We are going to be talking for people in general about how to change your money mindset and how to achieve your financial goals. So please welcome Estelle Gibson. She is a holistic financial coach. So welcome, Estelle.
Hi, Paula. Thanks so much for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us.
So good to
Okay.
be here.
How did you become a holistic financial coach?
Oh my gosh. As like many people, personal life, personal story. So, I started out my career. I actually started very early. I started as an assistant bookkeeper in high school, believe it or not, and went in college as a declared accounting major. So had my career going, working for at the time a big eight firm, and I'd gotten married, and my husband came in one day and asked for a divorce out of the blue. Like,
I know that experience.
right? I want a divorce. And just like, I mean, my whole life changed in that instant. And so I went through the process of having to rebuild my life financially, emotionally, because even as a financial professional, and I find this very often, Paula, in couples that I work with, that one person generally manages all the money.
Yep.
And right. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what happened in my marriage. I was busy, working in the financial field, and I was happy that he was good at it and wanted to manage the money. So I didn't pay any attention. And how many people does that happen to, right?
Well, when I work with my clients,
Yeah,
that's very common, especially in a certain generation where
absolutely.
the male always took care of the money. Sometimes the female, but usually it was the
Right.
male. So, but it doesn't matter who took care of it, either a divorce or a death.
Yes.
And then somebody who doesn't know has to learn.
Right.
And
Any
that's,
life, I always say life changing circumstance could be an illness, it could be a death, it could be a divorce, it could be a job change where one spouse now is home when they used to work. And just some of those transitional life changes can really, bring up this issue for people. So that's where it started. And at the same time, it was like I had no clue I was going to be getting a divorce. So I had to rebuild my life financially and emotionally at the same time. And
yeah,
so I went on this big self-development
me
quest.
too.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I always joke that you could find me in the self-help section of any bookstore trying to figure out what happened and how am I going to make this sure this doesn't happen again.
Yes,
And
me
so
too. Me
through that,
too. Yeah.
right? And so through this and the spiritual journey and everything, I began to see that the two communities that I was in, the financial community, and then now my self-development community with all these amazing people with gifts and talents that want to make a difference in the world, and they don't know anything about money. And so they're struggling. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're not understanding anything. And then in the financial, so they're in fear and worry about
Hmm.
what they're going to do. And I'm in the financial world with people with a lot of money who are in fear and worry about how to protect their money, how
Yeah.
they're going
It
to,
has
right?
nothing to do with it has nothing to do with how much you earn, but
Absolutely
but
not.
when you can let go of that fear, those limiting beliefs, your
Yes.
world will just open up to
Oh, yeah.
opportunities and
Absolutely.
abundance and
Absolutely.
but getting
I always
people
say
to
that,
understand that is so difficult.
yes. And usually I say that I have to work with people that are ready for a new experience with money, because if you're not willing to do the work, because it's not a doctor feel good process all the time,
No,
right? Because you have to
no.
it's an inner journey, it's an awareness journey. You have to take a look at what's going on and be willing to, instead of efforting out in the world working hard, you've got to be efforting in changing your mindset. And that takes practice and skill. It's a skill building thing. So I started to do that for myself, and then wanted to be able to share that with other people. And I kept in my self development communities coming up with people that would do all this mindset change, but they didn't know how to balance their checkbook. So for me, it's both. It's an and. So managing your money is a skill. mastering your mindset is a skill. And we also we don't teach financial literacy. So, we definitely don't teach, mindset. So it's something that people need to be taught.
So in my other life,
Mhm.
I do this thing called Girl Talk Collectives, and where we have
Mm.
a series and sometimes just a 1 day, half day program where we come in and we talk all things money. And the very first conversation that we have is about mindset. And,
Absolutely.
I did one last week or a couple of weeks ago, and we were just talking about goals and mindset. And, it was, I'm sharing with them what I have learned through my journey and through my
Mhm.
study. And, just to watch their faces, and you could tell the ones that were getting it and wanting to improve their mindset and just understanding their relationship to money.
Right.
And one woman walked up to me after she was done. She goes, "You just were truly inspiring." And I was like, "Well, thank you. That's like my goal, is that I
Yeah, right.
inspired you to start
To
even with
shift your
something as simple as,
perspective to
yeah,
begin the process, right?
yeah, just something as simple as just teaching them about my, money scarcity, and then
Mhm.
teaching them about how to use affirmations." And
Absolutely.
it was really a good day for me to say.
Awesome. Yeah, so I focus on both, and I use a lot of different processes. I've been certified in lots of different things, but I have a couple frameworks in my book that just so plainly explain it to people, and it's the 4 levels of belief. So there's the belief at the society level. So we're born into a society. We live in the United States, which has very different beliefs about money, credit, debt, spending, consumption than a third world country, right?
Hmm.
There's different values and there's different things. So you have a level that just based on where you come from. And then the next level is the level of your community. And so that can be your geographic community, it can be your church community, it can be your now social media. I mean, there's a lot of beliefs now, Paula, based on what's going on in people's, there's a lot of fake things going on, right, on social media that people think that people are living in earning a certain way and they're really not, and they believe that they've got to keep up or whatever. So there's beliefs in the community, sports, professions, the medical profession, the legal profession, the accounting profession. There's all kinds of beliefs. And then the family level, you probably know that of a family motto that you had, whether it was we have to work hard, we have to own our own business. Nope, we can't have our own business. We have to live off the government. Whatever it is,
Yeah,
it's
money
usually
doesn't
something.
grow on trees.
Yes, right? You got to work hard. It's not going to just drop in your lap. And then
Sometimes it just does, though.
well, it does. It does. That's a mindset. That's for sure. But that's what, my parents were saying. You got to work hard. It's not going to drop in your lap. And then the personal level, whether you've been married, divorced, bankrupt, been in debt, out of debt, all of that is another level of belief. So on those 4 levels, that's why it's not that easy to change. Because first of all, you have to realize that, and
Hmm.
second of all, then you got to do something about it.
Right.
And so that's what's running the programming, you know, and
Yeah.
generational too. Generation is part of society's generational beliefs. There's generational beliefs. If you know anybody that grew up in World War II, complete different beliefs than
Yeah.
someone,
The
based on,
conservative depression group, you got to put it under the mattress.
yes. So they're savers. Where
Hmm.
there's another group that are maybe spenders, and then you've got, big events like 9/11 and the pandemic and the Great Reset, all those things, depending on how old you were and if you were in your family and what was going on, that's usually what happens. And the other thing is, because we don't talk about money, Paula, we just observe. So we observe as children what's going on, and then we take those impressions and then they bleed into our current life.
Yeah, I agree 100%. We see it all the time with how people take what they learned as a child and bring that forward in all aspects of
Absolutely.
their life, just not even with money.
Absolutely.
And when they can realize that the things that you learned as a child were just maybe the best that your parents could do.
Absolutely.
And if you get past that, that's just the way that they believed, and it doesn't have to be the way that you believe, you can move forward. I know I grew up with a scarcity mindset and carried that with me all through my married life until I got divorced. And even though I'm in the finance world, you'd think I wouldn't have that, but I did.
You'd be
And
shocked at how many people in the financial world have
I
that.
know, I never thought I deserved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't think I was worthy of having money. But when that whole divorce thing happened and I had to start focusing not on the money aspect as much as just who Paula was and how Paula was going
Absolutely.
to, adapt to this new environment and change who she was. And I had to learn about all the things money. And then as soon as I let that go, I mean, it's like the floodgates opened up and I bought a lake home, which I never thought I could do. I mean, there's so many things. I travel. I went and spent 3
So
weeks in Greece,
awesome.
there's so
Wow.
many things that I do now that I never thought I could, but yet I don't worry about money. I just know it's always going to be there. I'm always going to have enough to fund my lifestyle and to donate and to different causes because that's important and people forget that part.
Right.
So, yeah, it works, but
It does.
you just got to be open to it.
Yeah, I always say that people come to me for money, but we usually transform their, and that's why I'm a holistic life coach, because of all the environments of your life. We usually transform many areas of your life, because when we get to a core belief, it's usually a belief about not enough, and that's not enough love, enough time, enough money, enough food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a core belief. When you get to a core belief, it bleeds through every area of your life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's the important
Yeah.
thing to take a look at. So
It's
yes.
funny how it does. You'd think that, just feeling like you were unlovable or unworthy or not enough affects like every single, your friends, who you choose as
Oh,
friends,
oh
who
my
you choose
gosh,
as
right?
partners. I mean,
Where
that,
you live, what
yeah,
everything.
everything,
Yeah.
surprisingly. So,
Because
what are the steps that you give to your clients to help them work through this?
so I have a 5-step process that I use, and most money programs start with action steps, and I don't. I start with a big dream and a goal, big dream goal. So step one is what's your destination? It's kind of based on a journey or a trip and a GPS. So we got to know where you're headed, right?
Yeah.
Because so many people will go down the wrong path because they don't have a clear vision of where they're headed. And it's also important because when you have to make tough decisions, you understand the why behind why you're making the decisions. So we start with what's my destination, and then where am I starting from? A lot of people miss this step too. So I have people assess for money and for their mindset, where am I starting from? What is the gap? As typical coaching, what's the gap that I have from where I'm wanting to go and where I'm starting from? And then we pick what's the path? How do I get there? Because most people will try to pick a path or do the 10 steps or do whatever, and they have no idea of where they're headed. So then, and it goes two ways. Step 4 is what stops me. Sometimes, like you said earlier, Paula, we have to deal with the what stops me first. So that's all the mindset stuff and all
Hmm.
the communication and emotional stuff. Some people, it works both ways. Some people can't even get started until they do that. They're like in such disbelief.
Yeah.
And some people, they have to start taking some of the steps, and then all the roadblocks show up. So it's important to do it throughout the whole process. So you just have to see where people are at. And then I had a 4-step method, and then I added a 5th step because some of my clients would come back after a while and go, I was doing really good, and then I started slipping backwards.
Yeah, it
And
happens.
some of that is because they don't have a horizon for what's next. So if you don't have a horizon for what's next, and you're just sort of floundering, then we've got to look at what were the challenges, what were my wins, what is my experience, and how can I use that to continue to dream, so start the process all over again. And I do find that when a lot of people start, they don't believe, like, I'll never pay off all that debt. And when they can start seeing it, then they can start, just like in your life, Polly, you can dream bigger, right?
Hmm.
When you're in the beginning and you're living out of your current mindset, then your beliefs, they do shift and change. So then we got to go for it. And then what's the big dream? So that's the process I take people through.
And even going through that big dream, I have a vision statement that I read daily about
Oh,
what it
good.
is, a detailed vision statement, one that I feel in my heart with emotions, so
Yes.
and then, I take a step towards that and every day. And then I also look for opportunities. But, last, I was just in a little experience with a dating relationship, and
Mhm.
I found myself like, wait a minute here, I almost was taking some step backs and I'm like, why am I doing that? You know what I mean? Because it didn't make any sense to me, but I
Mhm.
was able to work through it and
Right,
understand and do that. But when you have the tools, you can do that when that
right.
roadblock comes back up.
Exactly.
You're like, wait, why are you doing this? And let's figure out how to let go of that belief again, even though you thought it. Maybe it's a slight bit different, but
Right.
it's hard. It's an ongoing process. It's
Oh,
not
if you're
something
alive,
that,
you're still you're
yeah,
still working on it. It's like an onion. So you take it at a deeper cut every time. So, different things will trigger you, different things will, and it's really to help you expand and grow to go a little bit deeper. So things don't ever go away. I mean, your past and your history don't go away, but you don't get as hooked or tripped up, and you can get unhooked faster. But things are going to trip you up because it is your history. And so you're
yeah,
going to get into a snagging, and it's just like, oh, there's that thing again.
yeah, yeah. But it's it's not as bad. It's like
No,
it's just maybe, oh, there it is, and I can work with it
exactly.
and move on. Yeah, but
Yeah.
but I agree. You got to have that vision of what you're
Mhm.
looking for, or not what you're looking for. The vision that this is what your life is, and this is what your life is meant to be. Because when those little trip ups happen, you can go back to your vision. And that's what
Refocus.
I did. I went back to my vision of what I was looking for in a relationship and said,
Absolutely.
okay, it's okay. It's time to, I learned some things about myself through that
Mhm.
process. And now I understand more, what my vision was and to make sure
You
that I was
clarify
in
the
line with
vision,
it.
and then it helps you in decision making. Is this it, or is it not?
Yes.
Because so many people that gets blurred, they get into whether it's money things or relationships. And I find that with couples a lot, and then they just start to morph, and they're like, wait a minute. When couples set their vision, it's really fun because they're like, I forgot I had that vision, or the other
I know
partner will
you.
say, I never heard you, so that's, they don't even share their vision. And so then when you have a shared partner in your vision, that's powerful,
Yes.
because then they can hold the space
Hold
for
you
you.
accountable. And
Absolutely.
even if you don't have a shared partner, just having a friend or
Oh,
that
absolutely.
you can share it with. And um, surprisingly, you got to be very careful who you share that with
Oh yeah, there
because
are dream
sometimes people
killers.
are not supportive of what your vision is and
And
try to
that's
bring you
okay.
down.
And that's okay, because it's not their vision, it's yours. But being surrounded by people that are dream builders, not dream killers, is what I tell people. Share it with, or don't share it. Don't share it with somebody that's going to kill it. Um, and the three pillars that kind of uphold my 5 steps are awareness, information, and support. And that support piece is what you're talking about, is having, because if you're just in your own head, Paula, it's really difficult to have a vision, and sharing the vision expands it. Sharing the
Right.
dream just keeps it alive.
And I think it also, when you're sharing it with the right people, it also might open doors to opportunities. I
Absolutely.
think about my girlfriend who wants to own a bougie bookstore. And so she shared her dream with me, and I'm like, okay, here you go. And I was like, this is what these are the steps that you need to take. And,
Right.
first thing it is write out what that looks like for you. And then you got to call this person and this person and this person.
Exactly.
And she's like, thank you. But I had those skills to give to her to put her on
Right.
the right path. And she said something to me the other day, and I'm like, you got this. You're so passionate about it. You got it. Just go do it.
Exactly. And people need that, because if they just stay in their head, if you have a big dream, you'd already be achieving it if you were capable. So big dreams need people to support them, because
Yes.
on your own, it's just a project. Right?
And it's a
But
project that you can easily put aside if you're not
right.
seeing the opportunity.
Oh yeah. And you need people. Dreams just are that way. They ignite other people, and they help you and other people grow and collaborate, and it's like a whole dynamic. So I love starting people. Just they're kind of like at the beginning, like, why are we talking about this? Then they're like, oh my God. I had a recent client and she was like, yeah, this dream is probably going to be about 30, 40 years from now. And I'm like, what? let's hear the dream. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's already in like 2 or 3 weeks, Paula, she's already starting down the path of the dream.
Yeah.
And she was like, I kind of had forgotten I had that dream. I mean, like, and there's doors that are, I mean, crazy, crazy doors are opening for her that would have never even, because she was like, well, I'll just wait 20 more years and then I'll think about it. And I'm like, why would you want to do
No,
that?
let's start tomorrow.
Yeah, just share it with me. Let me. And then she got more and more excited. And then it was just like stuff started happening everywhere. It's so fun.
I had that the other day. I was working with my life coach,
Mhm.
and it is, I think it's important to hire people like you and
Absolutely.
coaches to who have gone through the process and have
Mhm.
a way of doing it to help you. But anyway, I was talking to them, they're like, where do you see my other life going? And I'm talking about my business life. And I'm like, well, I want this, 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 and this. And 2 days later, I get a phone call and someone says, hey. And I'm like, nah, my initial reaction is just hang up, because I get those
Right.
calls all the time from recruiters. And I listened. And I swear to God, I think they were listening to my conversation with my coach. I swear they were, because he said everything that I wanted in where I wanted to take my business. And I was like, wow. But because I had that vision and I knew where I wanted to go, I was open for that conversation.
That we call evidence. Evidence that you're putting your energy and the emotion to it out there, and the universe is basically responding. That's like a wink, wink,
Yeah,
wink. We hear
yeah.
you.
I like wink winks. Send me more, please.
Yeah, that's the response. It's like yes, and celebrate those evidence moments because that just builds the energy towards it and gets you excited. Like I think I can do this.
Mm-hmm. It makes it like you're like, oh my God, this is really going to happen. And you're like, and then, I mean, you're like almost dumbfounded, like this. And then you start to get excited. But then I also know that sometimes when I get too excited, that's not a good thing either.
Why
I
do you
find
think?
that,
Why do you think?
I don't know. I find that when you get so excited, I think for me personally, when I
Mhm.
get so excited about something, then I'm trying too hard and trying to make things happen
Mm.
instead of just allowing
Mhm.
the universe, God, whatever
Right.
your spiritual being is, to deliver it to me. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, but it's a co-creative process, so you do have to take action. So put the
oh, I
energy
do
in
take
it.
action. I just don't like get
Yeah.
so excited, and I
Well,
just,
no, I think the excitement is see energetically the excitement is good because that is if it's a false type of high, which is an anxiety fueled excitement, that's not good because that's anxiety, and the energy of anxiety, is a lower vibration. But if it's like joy, that's a high vibration.
no, I get excited like that. That's not, I don't know, I guess how to explain it. It's like, I don't, I think when I get like, after those meetings and stuff, like I was super excited. And I'm like, oh my God, they're doing this, and this. And I was getting so like, oh my,
Amped up.
yeah, amped up. And
Hmm.
then it didn't quite fold out the
Hmm.
way that, I was getting so amped up about. So now
Yeah.
I get excited, but
Hmm.
within, how do I want to say it? With control, I guess. Does that
Yeah,
make
and
sense?
that's what we call it's subtle, but that I would call a false high, which is like that amped up excitement versus like just a pure joy. There is a
Yes.
difference.
Yes.
So you're right about, I wouldn't say tamping that down, but definitely noticing that because that's what we call a false high. It feels like the excitement, but it's really not.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. And
It's
then when,
actually, I would say for me, when I get that, it's almost fueled by fear. Like I gotta, almost like the excitement. I gotta be careful of that because it could be a fear driving that underneath.
I'll have to, if it
Think
happens
about
to me
that.
again, I will have to think about if it's coming from fear.
Right.
It could be, yeah, because if you think like if your dream is starting to come true and you're getting that feeling, and then you're like, is this really happening?
Right.
It sounds too
The
good to be
doubts
true.
can creep in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
best just to take the step, celebrate it, be excited
Yes.
about it, but keep it in reality. I
Yes.
guess is
That's
probably the
very
best way to say.
true. And people probably that could be a trap for people because they are thinking it's the joy and it's really not.
Well, look, if you amp it up and then it doesn't happen, then it's a not that it
Right.
doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen to the level that you amped it up to be.
Right. So then
Then
you're having a expectation.
and disappointment.
Right. So the key there is not to have an attachment to the result.
That's a better way of saying it, is
Yeah.
trying not to celebrate it,
Mhm.
but don't get attached to the result.
Exactly. Or that it shows up in the way that you think it should because it probably won't.
Probably won't.
No,
It
it
has
could be
been,
better,
yeah.
but usually
Oh, always. I always say this or better.
it's something better.
Yeah, this or
Exactly.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remind me of, I worked with the Mary Morrissey program, Dream Builder,
Oh, yeah.
and you remind me of her and the way that,
That's a huge compliment.
yeah, you
I
do.
like Mary.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. She's very inspiring.
Yeah.
Very inspiring. I went and
It
spent
is.
a weekend with her in California
Oh,
about a month
nice.
ago, and yeah, it was pretty life changing.
Is it the 3-day?
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty life changing for me. Just
Oh,
to,
yeah.
yeah, it was really, really cool. Okay, so if
Awesome.
someone wants to get a hold of you, how should they reach out?
The best way is to go to my website at estellegibson.com. And so there's buttons at the top. There's free resources and information about all the different things that I do. And yeah, they
Or
can
they
check
could
it
pick up
out.
one of those books I see back there.
They can pick up one of my books. Absolutely.
So what is
Yeah.
it? I
Four
can,
by choice.
and then what's the second one?
The second one is Rewrite Your Money Story.
Okay.
Yeah,
That would be a great place to start for somebody who's working on their
absolutely.
mindset about money.
Absolutely. It takes you through the first, it's a 3-step, uncover the beliefs, understand your money story, and then to rewrite it. And it's based on the first part is the 4 levels of belief. You walk through for yourself what are those beliefs, and then all the family. It just goes into, it's a guided journal actually that walks you through writing out all the beliefs and then beginning to change them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
journaling. I think journaling. Can't even say the word. Is the key to working through anything and just getting it out of your head and on a piece of
Absolutely.
paper.
Yeah, and if you're visual, I work with people on their learning styles: visual, auditory, read, write, and kinesthetic. And if you're visual, it's really good for visual or kinesthetic people because they're actually doing something. They actually can see it. Auditory people, they usually have to have a conversation. So it kind of
Well,
depends on
you can have a
what you're.
conversation with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or listening, talking to somebody or listening to something for auditory people seems to work, but you probably are visual if you like to journal.
Yeah. Well, I don't say I like to journal. I just say it's what works for me.
And that's what, same here. I can, like, if I can write it out, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like I see it. It doesn't
Yeah.
live like whatever in my head.
And I think when you get it on paper, it's gone.
Right?
And then, you can move forward.
Yeah, it's not
I always
stuck in
say,
your.
I was talking to someone today and she was talking about a guy. That's us single women talk about guys way too much. But she was saying how this guy that she had dated for 2 years was the, love of her life. And she's starting to date again. I said, well, don't you think you should get over the love of your life first before you start dating? And she's like, and I said, and some of the things you've told me about him, is that really the life that you would have wanted, for the rest of your life? And she's, well, what do I do? And I'm like, you write it on a piece of paper and you burn it.
Absolutely.
But you got to burn it. And then you put it out into the,
Yeah.
give it back to the earth.
And also write out all the things you didn't like about him. And then flip it and then go, okay, if it's not that, then it's that.
Yes. Yeah, that's the exercise we did. And then we're going to have to cut this. But the exercise we did in California was write down your limiting beliefs, your paradigm that you're living with, and then write down your truth.
Exactly.
And then when we were done, we ripped up the paradigm
Exactly.
and, went with the truth. And And that's the exercise to me that was pretty life-changing. It was like you just let it go. All those, even I still doing this process for almost 5 years now, still have some limiting beliefs that get triggered every once in a while. So it was
Absolutely.
nice to get rid of those. And then when you do your visions and stuff like that, you're like, yeah, I can do this. I can really do
Yeah, the
this.
more powerful. You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta weed out all those limiting beliefs so
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
garden can grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Open that heart back up and let things go out of your mind.
Yeah.
It has been such a pleasure talking with you. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
same here.
I think I'm going to get some of those, the workbooks for the girls that go through my Girl Talk collectives. I
Oh,
think it would be a nice
awesome.
gift to give to them to get them started on working through their mindset.
Oh, awesome.
So
Yay.
very much appreciate you. It's
Yeah,
been a
thank
pleasure.
you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. If you ever want to come back, let me know.
Okay, great.
I'm sure we have a lot more that we can talk about. I like to
Yeah.
talk about couples and money. So let's get you
Yeah.
back to talk about couples and money.
Oh, yeah, I work with a bunch of couples. It's a big deal. I've saved a couple marriages. Because
Yeah.
people come when they're like that, they're like, "This is it. If we can't get it fixed, it's over." You
Yeah.
know? Usually
Well,
that's what I get them, which is fine. I like that, so
yeah. I mean, money is a huge problem in any relationship.
it totally is. And then when you and if you think about it, Paul, if you think about the 4 levels of belief, you talk about bringing baggage into a relationship. You got people with 2 different sets of 4 levels of belief. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
And it's unconscious, and you don't know about it, and you're not talking about it. You're just like
Yeah.
behaving.
Yeah. That's one of my things in my vision for my life partner is that we communicate um, authentically and
Absolutely.
being vulnerable with each other so that we can work through whatever comes our way.
Yeah, communication is the big key with couples and money. It's all a communication thing.
Okay, so we will have you back
Okay,
for that. We will get that scheduled. It really
awesome.
has been a pleasure. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach me at paulachristine.com, and I will have all of Estelle's books and contact information in the show notes. So thanks again.
Thank you.